All right, if you're a data scientist making that big jump into MLOps, you already know that just building a model, well, that's really only half the battle. Getting it to work reliably out in the wild and production, that is a completely different beast. So today, we're going to master a skill that is absolutely critical for that journey: software logging. And let's kick things off with a scenario that I bet feels a little too real.
So just imagine for a second, you get a Slack message. The model, your main production model, isn't working. It didn't crash, there's no big error message. It just stopped. It stopped making predictions about an hour ago, and you have absolutely no clue why or where it failed or what data caused it to just give up. You know that sinking feeling, right? It's a nightmare. But what if your system could just tell you what went wrong?
And that right there is where logging comes in. The best way to think about it is like a flight recorder for your software. It is constantly recording all the critical events, all the messages, all the errors that happen while your application is running. So when something inevitably goes sideways, you don't have to guess. You have this detailed step-by-step story of exactly what happened, just waiting for you to read it. It literally gives your silent system a voice.
Okay, so let's dig into why logging is so much more than just squashing bugs. For any serious machine learning system, logging is the bedrock of keeping things running smoothly. Honestly, without it, you're just flying blind.
Logging really weaves its way into every single part of MLOps. Sure, there's the obvious one, debugging, finding that one tiny thing that broke the entire pipeline. But think bigger, like system monitoring. Are your predictions getting slower? Is your model starting to see weird data it wasn't trained on? Good logs will shout that from the rooftops. And then you've got things like audit and compliance, which is a non-negotiable for so many industries. And of course, performance analysis. Logs can show you exactly which part of your data pipeline is the bottleneck that's slowing the whole thing down. So we're all on board with why we need logs, but how do we actually do it well? Let's get into the fundamentals. And I'm going to introduce you to a really fantastic tool that makes this whole process so much easier in Python. At its core, logging is just our way of keeping a diary of what's happening inside our code while it's running. Think about it. Your code is always talking. It's either saying, hey, everything's cool, or it's screaming something went wrong. A good logging system doesn't just hear those messages. It writes them down in a way that's organized, structured, and actually useful later. Now, obviously, not all log messages are created equal. If you just log everything, you end up with a giant wall of text. Total chaos. And that's why we use logging levels. They bring order to it all. Debug is for those super detailed, nerdy messages you only need when you're hunting a really nasty bug. Info is just a thumbs up confirming things are running like they're supposed to. A warning is your system raising an eyebrow. It's not broken yet, but something's a little fishy. Error means, yep, something definitely broke. And critical, that's the 5-alarm fire. The whole application is about to go down. Using these levels lets you cut through all the noise and focus on what actually matters at any given moment.
Now, if you've been working with Python, you've probably run into the built-in logging module. And look, it's powerful, for sure. But let's be honest, setting it up can be a real pain. It feels like you have to write a whole bunch of boilerplate code just to do something simple. Thankfully, there is a much better way. And that better way is called Loguru. I mean, this says it all, right? With Python's standard library, it can take several lines of confusing setup just to get your logs to save to a file. With Loguru, it's one line. It's designed to be simple and intuitive from the get-go, with awesome features like automatically rotating your log files and beautiful formatting all baked right in. It just works. All right, this next part, this is probably the single most important concept we're going to talk about today. This is where we make the leap from just writing down text to creating a powerful database of your application's behavior. We're talking about the magic of structured logging. So what is structured logging? It just means that instead of writing a plain old sentence to a log file, we log our information in a format that computers love, like JSON. Every single log entry becomes its own little data object with clear keys and values. And this one change, it completely transforms what you can do with your logs. I mean, just look at the difference here. The unstructured log on the left, that's for a human to read. If you wanted to find all the errors just for this one model, you'd have to do some messy text searching. But the structured log on the right, that's not just a message, that's data. The level is clearly error. The batch ID is clearly 12345. It's clean, it's organized, and it's ready for analysis.
And because it's data, you can query it just like a database. You can pump these JSON logs into tools like Elasticsearch or Datadog and start running some really powerful queries. Just imagine setting up a dashboard that shows you the real-time error rate for every single one of your models, or an automatic alert that pages you only when a very specific kind of error happens. That is the power that structured logging unlocks for you. Okay, so you're sold, you're ready to start doing this. Perfect. Let's wrap things up with a super simple, actionable playbook. These are the best practices you can start using in your own projects like today.
All right, let's run through it. First, use the right log level. Don't be lazy and log everything as info. Be deliberate. Second, add rich context. A log message that just says error occurred is totally useless. Tell us which user ID had a problem or which file failed to load. Third, log in a structured format like JSON. Make it machine-readable. Fourth, and this one is huge, protect sensitive data. Never, ever, ever log passwords, API keys, or personal information. Just don't. And finally, for production systems, centralize your logs in one place and set up file rotation so you don't wake up to a server with no disk space.
So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Is your machine learning system a transparent, observable asset that you can actually monitor, debug, and trust? Or is it a black box that just leaves you guessing every time something goes wrong? Because really, effective logging, that's the difference between the two. It's how you build ML systems that are truly ready for the real world.